Can you get
Good morning. We've got a great meeting today in the theme of March and Sports Month. I hope everybody's team in the ACC won at least one game, maybe? Oh, sorry. I had no takers yesterday to go to Boston, so I had to stay awake all by myself. But it was a great trip. You missed a good one. Got to meet with the Ladies Dog Club. They were incorporated in 1914. And bless their hearts, I think some of the ladies were members when it was started. It was a great group. Dennis Newman has our invocation. Pledge and testimony.
Bow your heads, please. Lord, bless us all as we go forward with our daily vocations and grant us the ability to help others who are in need. Help us be able to identify needs in our community and help us serve the community in our own individual ways and the ways that we can best help. Bless everybody going forward and keep us all safe as we head into the, hopefully, a new spring season here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Here we go.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take the things we think, say, and do.
Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I guess my Rotary moment, that's probably my first project rebuild. When I go in here, I've never been to one. I walk into this old house and here's Alex Neely standing up about halfway sunk it to the ground. Max Kern with a sledgehammer taking out an old bathtub. I said, what in the hell have I got myself into? That's why I really appreciate there's a lot of talent in this club.
Thank you, Dennis. Sergeant at Arms. We've got the double team back there with Howard and Erica.
Good morning, folks. All right, so we have two visiting Rotarians this morning. Bob Smith from Summit Club. And Carrie Peel from Greensboro. We also, in the raffle, the Queen of Hearts raffle, we have a total of $218 available.
All right. Tickets are still for sale.
Yes, they are.
Thank you, Howard. Birthdays, anniversaries. Kevin.
We have a long list today because last week with the excitement, of the ACC, we missed our dates. So we've got for birthdays was on the 10th was Mike Slane, and also Glenn Urlis, thank you. I've got also it's Charles Langdon on the 16th and Mark Reynolds on the 19th. For Rotary anniversaries on the 10th is Tom Nielsen, excuse me, with 9 years. Nelson, I put a double E there, I'm sorry. And then on the 13th is Mark Reynolds with 11 years.
Thank you, Kevin. Announcements. Erica, is tomorrow the day?
Today is the day. Yes.
Are you tired of talking about it?
No, not at all, but today is the day. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you for those who volunteered. I know a couple of you had kids that backed out. I don't know what's wrong with these kids today. I would die for a day to leave school for most of the day and hang out with someone at their job. So, but you know, it is what it is. So I appreciate your time and effort in helping us out with this. And I'll see you at noonish. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Erica. Thank you for all the great work you've done with that. I don't know if it was a blessing or a curse that I gave that to you, but you've done a great job with it. And we all appreciate it. Danny, anything? What's Camp Carefree, what's our date?
I don't have
Put
any
you on the
answer
spot.
from the administrator, it's pending right now. We have a lot of boards these days on the dock, and I don't have an iron.
So we're looking early May?
I don't have an iron.
You don't have an, okay, all right. And by the way, our board meeting, the Gate City Rotary Board meeting tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, Chris Justice's office. We had a snow day on Tuesday like everybody else, and I had to postpone it. Pretty bad when the treasurer doesn't want to drive his BMW. Or the secretary. The slipper. Other announcements from the floor. How were the forklift races the other week?
The forklift races were awesome. And I want to thank Buster for facilitating that. We had, I think, 5 or 6 people there. And it's a great opportunity. It was very interesting to learn exactly what Buster does and his logistics and that type thing. So I would put the offer out to anybody else who wants to have a 505 or 545 at their office to really get a good look at what you do, and really opens a lot of members' eyes. So thanks a lot, Buster. I need that corkscrew back too for my wife.
Buster, I think you gave me the line that I carefully use. It's not really true, but it was you that told me. Guy asked, said, how many people you got working over there? And he said, oh, about half of them. It's not true at my place. At least well, one of my best employees, I come up and say, why aren't you working? He said, well, I didn't see you coming. Well, with no other announcements, Buster, how about a big round of Happy Dollars?
Let's have some happy dollars. All right. I'm going to go first. How's that? Y'all all see the article in the, did everybody get that? Where my business partner and I bought the building that we're in. And the really funny thing about it was my father bought that building in 1980 and sold it to this guy in 2008 at the top of the market. And then we know what happened to the market. So my business partner and I bought it back for about what my father paid for it. It was like, cha-ching! So, anyway, it's great. Now we're the proud owner of the building.
And that's only worth $1.
Well, as I tell the people in the building, the previous 2 tenants didn't do a lot of maintenance on the building, so there's a lot of deferred maintenance.
The previous 2.
Okay, well, we finally got through. One of the kids, Joseph, got his Eagle Award.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but the Market Timing Award goes to Buster Lewis.
Yeah.
Really. Yesterday, it was a great day. I was out at the TEDx Greensboro, out at the Nanotechnology Center. Fabulous place if you want to go somewhere and just spend a nice day. I heard incredible talks. I heard Bill and Melinda Gates really share the template of their life of generosity and, you know, just how they do things that anyone can do. And I heard Zach Abraham, who is a Muslim, who gave a story about how he has learned to stop hating. His father is the man who blew up the World Trade Center in 1998. Amazing. All these talks are available. If you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link. So we had a tremendous tour of this place. You know, I can't believe they let us see something that we let see. And one of the rooms I saw an atomic microscope. I saw a helium microscope. You know, I saw the size of a fruit fly's eye, which when magnified 40,000 times is as big as a baseball bat. But there's one room that had this enormous magnet in it. And it said if you have a cell phone in your pocket, if you have a ballpoint pen, if you have a pacemaker, if you have a defibrillator, anything like that, you need to get rid of it. So I thought, well, I'll just go on in, I'm fine. I laid my phone and came back home. I got undressed at the end of the day, and I thought, oh my goodness, here's this dry cleaning ticket for my shirt, and it's attached to my shirt with this great big safety pin. And if I had gotten just a little bit closer to that magnet, that safety pin would have blown through my shirt and out my pants. So goodness, it was just a mercy of God.
Like that on your insurance policy.
This week, picked up a hotel sponsor in South Africa for our Hope Ride, and Rotary Hotels is supplying us with 10 nights, all accommodations for the entire team, so that's a huge win. And then 3 businessmen last week called up and said, have you bought your tickets yet? I said, no, we haven't. They said, well, we were talking about that, and we've all got the miles, so businessmen came alongside us with miles, and they're flying the entire team over to their airline.
All right.
Well, I'm a 25-year-old who, Betty and I kind of treat him like he's in grad school and he's in California. Anyway, we've been nickel and diming him. He called me up yesterday and said he got a full-time job.
You know those guys that set things up and then they take off and don't attend and don't show up? Well, that's sort of what I did last week. I set up the speaker that went on vacation, but Happy Dollars was filling in for me and introducing Dan.
It was fun.
He was a great speaker.
I was going to put this on Mr. Conrad's tab, but
You should have.
I should. Next week, we have an amazing partnership. We had this last year. But on Wednesday, Jersey Mike's, all local Jersey Mike's, do a 100% day of giving. They've been doing 100%. It's huge. They raised over $36,000 with this 100% day of giving last year. And we are so, so grateful. They choose a charity. They even are encouraged by their national organization to choose a different charity. But they chose us again, and they kind of fought to do it. And so we are really grateful. So in order to show our support, we want to make sure that there is a long line outside of every door of Jersey Mike's. So so I'm encouraging all of you guys, breakfast, lunch, dinner, please go eat some Jersey Mike's. You can do catering orders as well. So if your office, if you want to buy your office lunch, 100% of that goes to JURF. So we would love that. Catering orders need to be in by 11, and I will be sending another email out with all the information on which stores are participating.
When?
It's Wednesday, next Wednesday, all day, the 26th. So we really, really would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Well, I have a guest today, and this is someone who came before, Eric. And he's had some great luck with his project in Tanzania. He's been going around talking to churches and individuals. He's gotten some really good support. I would like for him to tell you a little bit about it. And also, he has applied for his 501c3, and 6 weeks, no news is good news, so he should be getting that funded shortly. So that's the happy go.
That was the big news, the 501c3 6 or 7 weeks ago. There has been other, I've made about probably 8 or 10 presentations, mostly to Rotary clubs, and through a fundraising project that I have set off through Indiegogo on the internet, I have made contacts in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a musician there who's been a backup singer for James Taylor. She has a friend whose father is the singer for Alabama, and they are wanting to do a fundraising dinner concert for me coming up in June in Nashville, Tennessee. She has connections with various churches in Atlanta, and she's going to try and get me platforms to do presentations with in Atlanta. I'm going to spend a month in April in Atlanta. I have a cousin that lives down there that I'm going to stay with. And the other thing is there's a nonprofit organization, or a budding nonprofit. He has yet to submit his application, but last year his organization name is called Watermelons for Water. And he's a farmer down in Clemson, and he supported with all of his proceeds well drilling in Central America last year. He wants to partner with me. He wants me to carry a handful of seeds to see how these watermelons are going to grow in Tanzania. His watermelons weigh probably 25 pounds, and he said one watermelon can have 3 gallons of liquid inside of it if you mash it. He has he's partnered with a brandy watermelon brandy company in Charleston, South Carolina, and he has a seminar going on down there in September to promote his watermelons for water. And he wants me, when I get to Tanzania, I'm moving there in July. When I get to Tanzania, I want to quickly get these watermelon seeds in the ground to where I can do a presentation with the people helping me to do these watermelon seeds and do a virtual presentation to his seminar in September. And then in November, he's got another seminar in Denver, Colorado, where I'll do another virtual presentation in Colorado. And he wants to donate all of his proceeds for this coming farming year. He's got 3 farms down in South Carolina to donate his proceeds to my organization to do water in Tanzania.
That's great. All right. I'm going to throw 3 up here. One for Marley and Mike. My office is right across the street from the Jersey Mike's. So next week, I don't have much seating, so I'll invite you all to my office. And when I thought of that, I thought, I'll send out an email, we'll make that work. We got to clean up the office, our boardroom, because we had our new auditor in yesterday, which is never a happy thing. She left smiling last night. Usually new auditors have to pick you apart. She said, you know, I've only done 10 audits, but this was fun. This is my biggest office, and we had a blast. And I said, well, let's see your write-up. And then lastly, let's see your write-up. It'll be okay. Lastly, I have to apologize to the club and Bobby. About a month ago, I took the bolt out of the broken bell, and I've forgotten once again to bring that doggone thing with me. But I will get it done. We all know where what good intentions pave the road with, right? So anyway, I'm working on it.
If I hadn't hit it so hard, it wouldn't be broken.
Chris. That's right.
When Chip opens up with I have to apologize to the club, you just don't know what he's going to say. Now, I hate Hal is not here to hear this because Kaylee had a soccer tournament this weekend. We traveled to Columbia, South Carolina with her classic team, and she's the goalie for the team, as most of you guys have heard. They made it to the finals, which weren't played due to torrential downpours. So I think by the time the smoke clears, they'll be named champions because of the goal differential and all that. Kaylee got her 6th shutout in a row. So pretty good.
All right, so Monday morning, I had a really great opportunity. Fox 8 News, in case anybody watched it, around 7:45. Team 2655, the first robotics team out of Colfax, which my team is a part of, was on the news. And so it was just a really cool thing for him. So it's on Fox 8. If you go to the website, you can type in robotics and you can see him. He's the one that barely could say his name, but actually he's also the only one that had the hole in his jeans, which I was very proud of that morning. But anyways, they left yesterday.
Everybody else.
What was that?
He's working harder than everybody
That's
else.
He likes to think so. And but yesterday they left and they're on their way to Indiana to Purdue University for their next competition. And so hopefully we'll have some good news on that as well.
That's good.
Well, as Grandpappy always used to say, a friend is a stranger that you just haven't alienated yet.
Good advice. Emily, are we?
Ralph is
Ralph, okay.
Yeah, I'll introduce our next speaker. Terry's a gentleman I've known for a long time in Greensboro. He jumped at the invitation to come speak to our Rotary Club. He's born here, raised here, went to Grimsley, go Whirlies, went to Wake Forest. I think they're playing, what are they? Sorry. They weren't having issues. No, he's a great guy. He's always giving back to the community. Great leader in the community. He'd be a great Rotarian, actually. But I want to welcome Terry Jones with the Wyndham.
Thanks, Ralph. A few things I'd like to get out of the way before
No.
talk about the tournament. Terry Jones, Ralph Jones, and want to make something quite clear that there's no familial connection here whatsoever.
right? You're a third.
Yeah, I'm the third.
If it is, he's from way on the other wrong side, the black sheep side. The second thing is, if I get a call this morning and have to run out of here, today's my wife's birthday, and I left the house to my two girls, 15 and 11, trying to cook breakfast. So there's a good chance that my phone's going to ring and I'm going to have to go attend to a house fire at some point this morning. Thanks for having me. I love doing these kinds of things because it gives us an opportunity to talk about something that obviously I'm very passionate about, and a lot of people in this community are very passionate about, which is the Wyndham Championship, also known by lots of different names, especially if you're a native of Greensboro or have spent any time here at all. It's a big deal for us. It's 1 week a year when literally eyes all across the world are focused on our community, and it's a chance for us to kind of put our best foot forward and show people what we're made of, the kind of hospitality, the kind of environment, the kind of hopefully economic opportunity that lives here. It's a big year for us this year. It's our 75th anniversary. Actually, only one of 6 tournaments, PGA tournaments, to have had 75 years in existence. So it's a big deal, and we've got a lot of neat stuff going on that I'll talk about in just a minute. But one of the things I'd like to do is we've put together a video that is a quick 4 or 5 minute video that encompasses a lot of the history. So I'd like to just, from the second laptop this morning, because Ralph told me there'd be no technical issues whatsoever.
If a tournament is defined by its champions, the Wyndham Championship is legendary indeed. The 6th PGA Tour event to celebrate a 75th anniversary. The Wyndham Championship began in 1938 as the Greater Greensboro Open. It was initially played at both Starmount Forest and Sedgefield Country Clubs, and the incomparable Sam Snead won the first of what would eventually be 8 GGO titles. In 1940, snow fell and delayed play for 3 days. When it cleared, the legendary Ben Hogan played 36 spectacular holes to win by 9 strokes. In 1941, Byron Nelson was the victor, and in 45 he won again for the 3rd of his unbelievable 11 straight PGA Tour wins. Sam Bird, former backup player for Babe Ruth and the New York Yankees, won the GGO in 1942. Beating such greats as Snead, Nelson, and Sarazen, Bird is still the only Major League Baseball player ever to win a PGA Tour event. In 1960, civil unrest was growing across the nation. When sit-ins began at the Greensboro Woolworths, tournament officials issued an invitation to Charlie Sifford, an accomplished golfer who grew up caddying in Charlotte. Sifford became the first African-American to play in a PGA Tour event in the Old South. He finished 4th, despite relentless heckling from the crowd. In the 70s, Arnold Palmer was the biggest star on the PGA Tour. Unfortunately, the Wake Forest grad never won the tournament. He came close a couple of times. Once in 1970, when Gary Player won with a 65, still the lowest final round score posted by a tournament winner at Sedgefield. And again in 78, when he had the lead in the final round. He tried to hit his ball out of shallow water and ended up finishing 3rd. While Palmer never won the championship, plenty of other top golfers did. In fact, 17 World Golf Hall of Famers hold 27 Wyndham Championship titles. Playing in his first U.S. tournament in 1978, Spain's Seve Ballesteros claimed his first PGA Tour win at age 20. He remains the youngest winner in tournament history. In 1992, North Carolina native Davis Love III took the title in what many still consider the most exciting finish at Forest Oaks. He won with a course record 62, including 2 amazing eagles on which he holed out from greenside bunkers. In 2006, Love won the tournament again, just 3 years after he redesigned the course. 2007 saw the tournament rise to a whole new level, with Wyndham Worldwide coming on as the tournament's title sponsor, and Brent Snedeker winning both the Wyndham Championship and the PGA Tour's Rookie of the Year award. In 2008, after 31 consecutive years at Forest Oaks, the Wyndham returned to Sedgefield Country Club, where the Donald Ross course had been restored to its original design and lengthened to accommodate the modern player. Popular North Carolina native and Wake Forest University alumnus Wes Simpson won the Wyndham in 2011, claiming his first PGA Tour victory. He went on to win the U.S. Open Championship in 2012. In a nail-biting finish in 2013, Patrick Reed defeated Rookie of the Year Jordan Spieth in the 17th playoff in tournament history. Hitting a miraculous shot from the trees on the 10th hole, Reed calmly rolled in the birdie putt and celebrated with his wife and caddy, Justine. As we look back on 75 years of unforgettable PGA Tour golf, we celebrate the historic moments, the extraordinary champions, and the hospitable people of the Piedmont Triad that have made our tournament what it is today. Please join us for our 75th anniversary at this year's Wyndham Championship, August 11th through 17th at Sedgefield Country Club.
Just that reminded me that shot that, if you remember from last year, the shot that Patrick Reed hit from the almost in the woods that won in the tournament. If you noticed, probably didn't catch it, but there was a gap between, there was some ivy coming from the yard of the house that was right there, and then there was kind of a dark area, which is where his ball was, and then there was rough and fairway and so forth. Well, his ball landed in an area that about 3 days ago was about that deep in ivy. 3 days before was about that deep in ivy, and so the lady that lived in that house actually went out there and cut it back because she was worried about how it looked. So we could be sitting here talking about Jordan Spieth as our 2013 champion, which would not have been a terrible thing either, but if you notice, Patrick Reed's already won 2 other times on tour, and this kid is, I'm telling you, this kid is, you know, he's got an interesting attitude. He's made some comments that ruffle some feathers about how confident he is and how good he thinks he is, but he's the real deal, and he's won on every level that he's been on, and he's won 3 times on the PGA Tour already. He's probably going to make the Ryder Cup this year, and he's going to be a fantastic champion. He'll be back here this year. We're excited. His wife, if you remember, his wife was his caddy. She's pregnant, so she's taken a little bit of time off from carrying the bag. The timing's interesting because the pregnancy sort of coincides with the date maybe when they got pregnant. So it coincides about mid-August. So I think we have some vested interest in the Reed child who's due in a few months. But 75th anniversary, we're going to do a lot of neat things this year that we hope you guys can come out and see. We've got, we're going to do a history wall, if you will, when you, as you enter the tournament and walk up to the clubhouse at Sedgefield. We're going to have a sort of timeline wall that covers a lot of things you've seen in the video, a lot of pictures, a lot of history. There's a young lady that works in our office. Her name is Julia Strandberg. She interned for us a couple years ago. It turns out, we didn't know this until about 6 months ago, but her grandfather was one of the original sports photographers at the Greensboro News and Record, and she kind of walks in one day and she said, hey, I found all these pictures, and she just has stacks and stacks of pictures of Sam Snead and Arnold Palmer and Billy Casper and Ben Hogan, so we got very lucky with that. We've got a lot of those pictures that we have access to. We're going to bring in some past champions, which will be a lot of fun for folks that folks are really connected to. Davis Love III will be here. He's here every year. He's a big supporter of our tournament. Lanny Watkins, who has some local connections with Wake Forest. Fred Couples, who a lot of ladies my wife's age really kind of get excited about. Freddie's a nice guy. Billy Casper is going to come and do some stuff for us here. And I don't know how much you knew about golf, if you really follow golf at all, but Billy Casper is right there with the greats that you hear about, with the Palmers and the Nicklases and the Trevino. The guy's got a phenomenal record. I got to meet him last year for a brief time and have lunch with him, and Billy's probably in his 80s and still sharp and still tells some of the best off-color stories you've ever heard. So it should be fun having him here as well. We've developed something this year that we're excited about for fans to buy tickets to and take part of. It's something that we've talked about for a couple years to sort of fit in between the high-level hospitality of maybe corporate stuff and then just the everyday grounds ticket that people use. We've built a big structure. We're building a big structure out on Hole 10, and we're calling it the Legends Club. And the thought behind that is to create sort of a sports bar, place to be type of environment where we'll decorate it with some of the history of the tournament. But it's basically an upgraded ticket or a higher ticket price to go in and you can purchase higher end food and drink. Really trying to just create a sports bar type of atmosphere. It's been successful at a lot of different tournaments. A lot of tournaments have them, but you don't have golf viewing. And so we've got 10, you can see the tee shot at 18 and also 11. It'll be air conditioned. So that's going to be a neat spot, and we're excited about that. We've had some success already with selling a lot of those. For the last few years, we have partnered with Fort Bragg and a couple of corporate sponsors to bring in about 200 soldiers a day from Fort Bragg and to enjoy the tournament, and they enjoy it in a number of different ways. This tournament was one of the first ones to do that, and in fact did it at Forest Oaks. And would bus guys and girls in, and figured out pretty quickly that open bar or kegs was not the way to go. So we've sort of fine-tuned that a little bit and give them a couple drink tickets. And Bruce Chris comes in and cooks for them. Cafe Pasta will come in and cook for them. And we just try to give them sort of a day off, if you will. And a lot of these guys don't follow golf or know much about it, but they're so appreciative, and it's such a neat thing for us to be able to do is to connect with some of these guys. You know, just there's lots of stories. I met a guy last year who was kind of limping around. He had his young son with him, and you know, this guy was probably in his 30s. And, just in talking to him, I said, "Hey, I hope you don't mind if I ask what, you know, how did you get hurt?" He said, "Well, I got hurt jumping out of a plane." And I said, "Man, I'm thinking this happened 3 months ago." I said, "Wow, that's awful." He goes, "Yeah, I shattered both my ankles." I said, "Wow, when did that happen?" He goes, "Oh, about 12 years ago." So, you know, he'll never, obviously, be able to walk again the way he should, but he had a son with him. I said, "You know, are you guys golf fans?" "Yeah, my son loves Brant Snecker. He just thinks Brant Snecker is the coolest guy out here." So, I mean, stuff like that is so easy to do, and such a, it's an honor for us to be able to do stuff like that. So I went and found, up in the locker room after his round, I found Brent Snecker and said, "Look, you know, I found we have these big rubber golf balls that are almost like mini basketballs." And so he signed a couple things for the kid. I mean, the kid was just on top of the world. And the dad just sends me emails now about once a quarter just saying, "Hey, he's doing this and he's doing that." So stuff like that is just fantastic. And a lot of these guys are so open to doing that kind of thing. It's really kind of neat how giving they are, because they get a lot of asks. Along the lines of the military piece, we're partnering with a group called Folds of Honor this year, which is, look it up when you get to your office today. It's a fantastic organization that provides scholarships for kids who've had parents either killed or disabled in action in the military. This the friend of Bobby Powell, who's our director of operations, started this organization a number of years ago, but he started it because he was sitting on an airplane. He had done 3 tours in Iraq as a pilot. He was on a commercial flight, and the pilot said, "Hey, would you guys mind waiting to get off the plane? We've got a fallen soldier that we've got with us." And so he saw this whole exchange he's sitting right there, and he saw the whole exchange with the family and the casket, and you know, he has 2 or 3 young kids, and you know, something just clicked with this guy. And so we're excited to have these guys in here. We're going to do maybe, we're trying to figure out if we're going to do maybe a scholarship presentation for a kid down at Fort Bragg, or we're working on some logistics on that piece. But look, that Folds of Honor, look it up. It's a pretty powerful. You might know of Patriot Golf Day, which is pretty big around here. It's a 1 day a year where a portion of these fees are donated to this organization. Dan's organization is part of that. Just in general, the tournament itself is in pretty good shape. We have Wyndham as obviously our title sponsor, BB&T, who is our local presenting sponsor in for through 2016. I will tell you that we are already having some preliminary conversations about extensions to both of those, which would be fantastic for everybody. Wyndham has been a remarkable partner. You know, they've really don't have a local presence here, but they have embraced this community in a number of different ways, charitably, economically. I mean, they're a phenomenal partner. Steve Holmes, if you've ever had a chance to hear, and he's on CNBC once a month, and he's obviously here quite a bit through the tournament. But Steve Holmes is the CEO of Wyndham Worldwide, is just one of the classiest, nicest people you'd ever want to meet, and we're lucky to have him. And we're lucky to have our chairman, Bobby Long, who, you folks, you guys know of Bobby Long and what he's done in this community. And working for Bobby is one of the true privileges that I've ever had. He's one of the more generous, forward-seeing, aggressive, humble. I mean, it's really a lot of fun working with Bobby. It's fun working with Bobby. People that have big ideas and big resources to kind of go along with it. That's kind of a neat thing. So we're in good shape on that front. This year, this year's going to be an interesting year for players. We get asked all the time, what does the field look like? Who's coming? Who's not coming? Interesting. These guys don't have to let us know until Friday before our tournament whether they're coming or not. So, we try to have a pretty good idea before that, but we get a lot of late entry stuff. Every year, or at least for the last few years, there's been a break in the schedule 2 weeks after the Wyndham Championship, which is important for these guys because it's not easy, 6, 7 weeks on the road, schlepping all your stuff around, especially if you're traveling with a young family. These guys need to take weeks off at a certain time. So there's not a break this year after our tournament, 2 weeks after our tournament, due to it's a Ryder Cup year and things are a little compressed. So we have been, particularly Mark Brazel, my boss, has been pretty active trying to talk to players earlier than usual to get commitments for people to come here. I know that Webb's coming back, Branson Netter will be here, Sergio is coming back, Patrick Reed obviously will be back. We're working on a few others. Jordan Spieth, who, if you follow golf, this kid's the next real deal. I mean, he's as polished as a 20-year-old as you'd ever want to meet. He actually left school early to join the professional tour to help support his younger sister, who is 12 and has special needs. So I mean, this kid is unbelievable. I mean, he's one of the best. We're going to have Margaritaville. I don't know if you got out to the tournament last year. Who saw the Margaritaville if you were out there last year? I mean, so they came in, and military guys love that place. Margaritaville partners with one of the Wyndham divisions, and so we were able to work out a deal with them, and they had this basically kind of beach club out in front of the clubhouse, and it was extremely popular. We did music out there every day. They served whatever, the margaritas, I guess. And it was just kind of a real festive bar atmosphere. So they're going to be back and probably bigger and better because that was a home run for them as well. We're having a good year in sales. Our hospitality on 18 and 17 is already sold out in terms of our luxury suite and skyboxes. We have 2 pro-ams, Monday and Wednesday. Those are both sold out. In fact, we had a company, I want to, but I won't say the name because you'd all recognize it, back out of 3 spots of our Wednesday pro-am, and we had them sold within an hour because we have a waiting list for those things. And we're talking $25,000 a team. It's just, it's gotten to be so popular, and it's such a good experience for folks and their customers. So, Sedgefield, John McConnell, who bought Sedgefield a few years ago, continues to do a phenomenal job with that place. Every time we're out there, he's fine-tuning something, making it look better, making it look prettier. The course, the players absolutely love the course, and that's a big part of why we get some of the names that we do. I was down in Tampa last week for the now called the Valspar Championship, and talked to a few guys, and in fact, I went down there. BB&T is now their presenting sponsor down there, so I went down there to work with a couple of our guys down there, and I hosted a Q&A with a couple of players. And maybe they were just being nice, but one of the questions was, what are some of your favorite courses on tour? And both of them said, you know, Sedgefield's one of the favorite places of all for the players because it's an old style golf course where guys have to shape their shots, and it's not just about bombing it out there and seeing how far you can hit it and chasing it and hit it again. So they were probably just being nice to me, but it was still nice to hear. But we do hear that a lot. You know, Ernie Els talks about it being one of his favorite places to play of all time, and a number of the big name guys really love the course. And with the new, my wife gets so tired of me talking about it. They put in new greens out there, you know, a little over a year ago. My wife, she said, if I hear you talking about new greens again, new grass, I'm just going to throw up all over. That's kind of an update for you. Love to answer any questions that you guys have about anything, players, tour, kind of how that whole thing works, charitable dollars. Ralph.
Now, when you played, didn't you play in Augusta and made a hole-in-one and then played out at Pebble Beach? Or, I mean, were you going to share any of those thoughts with us today?
I thought you were going to have me back.
I'm just kidding. What's probably the most interesting thing you've seen happen in your new career, or in your new career, I guess 3 or 4 years in now?
Yeah, some of those things like I talked about with like the military guy, but I saw something a couple of years ago. Ernie Els played here. Ernie has a son and a foundation. He's got an autistic son, and he's got a pretty powerful foundation that supports autism and research. And we have a volunteer, a young guy, he's probably in his late teens, who's been at the tournament for, I don't know, probably 10 years, and always works one particular place. And he's slightly autistic, but his favorite golfer in the whole world is Ernie Els. And so through a couple different guys, we were able to connect this kid with Ernie after Ernie's round one day. And you know, your expectations are maybe Ernie just does a quick hello and maybe signs a scorecard or a golf glove or something for him. It was one of the neatest things ever, and Ernie probably spent 10 minutes with this kid, and only this kid, and you know, looking him in the eye and talking to him like, yeah, I mean, it was just the neatest thing to see. And we see a lot of those kinds of things, which is kind of goes under the radar, that don't make the press and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, aside from playing Augusta, that was pretty cool.
And making a hole-in-one.
Well, it was only par 3 course, so
still, you did it at Augusta.
Yep.
Has the date stabilized at this point?
Date's pretty stable for the foreseeable future. Probably a year and a half ago, we sort of did a debrief and went through all the different dates that were possibilities for us, assuming that we had our first pick. And if you look at a tournament our size, a market our size, now with the majors, the World Championship events that are run by the tour, kind of the scheduling and travel and all that kind of stuff, probably aside from the Wells Fargo Charlotte date, we're in as good a spot as we can really be in. So yeah, we're thrilled. I mean, this FedEx thing, being the last FedEx tournament, has really helped us a lot. So yeah, we're happy where we are right now, and the tour's been great about working with us on that too. Yes, sir.
I'm Jonathan. Thanks for this great presentation. It brought back a happy memory. 42 years ago, I was a 22-year-old lad out on the 18th green at Sedgefield at the GGO then. My father-in-law, who was about Sam Snead's age, took me out there. And of course, you know, these old guys connect with each other.
Sure.
They've seen each other before. Sam hands my father-in-law a ball and said, "Here it is for your son." You know? So that was a pretty cool moment.
That's pretty cool. There's some pretty good stories about Sam that you have to be careful what company you tell them.
With being the 75th anniversary this year, what's the challenge you see with parking?
You know, from a crowd standpoint, I don't think we're going to. It's a challenge always out there. Sedgefield's one of the smallest venues on the tour. But from a crowd, I hope it's a big problem. But the Coliseum really alleviates a lot of that for us. So we've got some spots at GTCC, we've got the Coliseum and various, and I think we've pretty much buttoned down about everything we've had last year. So
you still had a shuttle service, I believe. Don't you have a shuttle service from last year? I know last year I think you had one, right?
From?
I guess either GTCC
everywhere. Yeah. The lots and then shuttles in from all the different lots. So I want to tell one quick story. I know you guys are about done, but I love telling the story. This has nothing to do with the Wyndham Championship, but it's about a golfer that everybody knows and some of us actually love, some of us don't. John Daly, I heard the best John Daly story this summer. We do a lot of stuff with the AJGA, which is the American Junior Golf Association, which is a great organization that develops young, talented kids and really molds them as people and golfers. But anyway, Stephen Hamlin, who runs that organization, out of Atlanta, does a fantastic job. And I was with him somewhere one night, and people were just telling stories, and somebody said something about John Daly, and he says, well, look, I've got the best one ever. He says, John was 16 years old. We were in, I think it was Phoenix, Arizona, at the Rolex World, which is like one of the biggest youth tournaments, junior tournaments around. John was ranked probably in the top 10, unbelievably talented. So the night, all the kids are staying in private housing, so they should stay with families and stuff around the course, the club, and what have you. So the morning of the first round comes, and Steven's phone rings, and he answers it and says, hey, the guy says, hey, we've got a problem. We can't find John Daly. Okay, so they put, they get on the radios, and they put an all-points bulletin out, and they're all over the course, they're all over the club, they're all, no John Daly. Well, about literally 10 seconds before he's due on the tee, he rolls up, throws a cigarette out, puts a tee in the ground, just hammers one, 320 yards right down the middle. Well, somebody had called Stephen Hamlin and said, hey, we found John Daly. So Stephen jumps in his cart, he screams out there and stops John as he's walking off the tee and says, John, come here for just a second. I need to talk to you. Yes, sir, Mr. Hamlin. How you doing this morning? Doing fine, John. Doing fine, John. Let me ask you a question. John, did you stay in private housing, right? Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Hamlin. Nice family. Great family. Well, John, did you make it home last night? Oh, no, sir, Mr. Hamlin. Straight to the course. So Steve said he kind of hesitated. He said, well, John, tell me this. John, did you drunk? He said, Daly goes, oh, yes. Steve said, well, John, you're done. That's it. Get in the cart. And he said, Daly kind of stood there for a second and he goes, thank God. So that's it. Thank you guys very much. I hope to see you in August.
Thank you. My favorite GTO story. Anybody remember when Chichi Rodriguez got in trouble for taking a beer from someone in the gallery? This was back in the mid-'70s. He wasn't going to make the cut. It was on Friday. A good friend of mine gave him the beer. Terry, we're going to donate a book in your honor to the Cone Elementary School. We really appreciate your efforts today. And if you would please draw a winning ticket, read the last 3 digits. Don't forget the blue cart fund buckets on the table. What's yours?
349.
Dr. Guy.
Oh, my God.